Hello! Today is Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. I'm Jesse with Insulet Technologies, and this is Coffee and Security. On today's episode, we're going to talk briefly about breaches. There have been a ton, of breaches, data breaches, and vulnerabilities running around in March 2022. And we're going to talk about some key takeaways related to those. Also, stay tuned because we're going to talk a little bit about what Windows or Microsoft Defender for Business is, why it's important for small businesses, and we're possibly going to talk about a new paradigm shift in cybersecurity. Okay, if you've been paying attention at all to cyber news, or any news really, Okta, Microsoft, Google, there are so many breaches in 0 days out there right now. Okta was breached by Lapsus ransomware gang. Microsoft also breached by the Lapsus ransomware gang. The White House has even come out and made an urgent cyber warfare announcement, especially for small businesses and critical infrastructure, so that you can better get ahead of these things before it's over, before the worst case scenario happens. On top of that, Google, Sophos, SonicWall, Fortinet, ASUS, they're all announcing 0 days, which are critical vulnerabilities that are being exploited by threat actors, by ransomware gangs, by whoever out there is trying to get into your network or just trying to use your routers or disrupt your devices. Long story short, these 0 days largely result in what's called remote code execution, which is why they're classified as critical vulnerabilities, since you don't need access to your local network to take advantage of and take over these devices for nefarious purposes. Key takeaways for this today. Well, this sort of overshadows or completely encompasses our past recommendations of the importance of vulnerability management. In this particular case, you can also call it attack surface management. Essentially, the key takeaways here are you need to know as a business what your attack surface is. You need to understand what devices you have out there, what devices are exposed to the internet, what people you have where, how you interact, what systems you use, where your data is stored. And then you need to understand the vulnerabilities and threats that are out there that could impact your business. Specifically around what data you have, what data you maintain. Are you using sensitive data? Are you maintaining sensitive data for your own employees, for your customers? Are you a practice in healthcare who's maintaining patient information that's protected by the HIPAA compliance regulations? Are you financial regulation? Are you an insurance company? Are you lawyers? The question is, what data do you have? Where is it stored? And by the way, it is where you don't think it is. Especially if you have these cloud systems where you store data, you almost always find that information in places you never expected it to be, and that's where we're going to find it when we come into your network to do research. Or worst case scenario, a hacker is going to find it when they come into your network to find that data. So know your attack surface. That really boils down to inventory. You need to know what systems you have, what critical systems you have, what data you have, what it is, what folks you have accessing your systems, what remote access you have. If you don't know what you have, you can't know how to protect it. It kind of sounds reasonable here, but almost everyone I come across actually has no idea what devices are on their network, and they wouldn't know if a device changed, if a new one showed up or one disappeared one day or another. So these are key fundamentals that every business should get back to. Once you know what you have, you need to understand the vulnerabilities. And there are tools out there that can help you identify these. There are lots of free websites and vulnerability feeds that can help feed you threat intelligence information. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a person or a team expending time researching, mapping, prioritizing, and understanding what risks you have on your information. And of course, that is the assessment aspect of it. Regularly and continuously assessing all of your information, all of your devices and assets for cyber risk is part of the job, if you maintain information. Okay, so that is my soapbox for the 0 days for the data breaches. So recently, this month, Microsoft launched into full swing of things with Microsoft Defender for Business. This has been in beta for a few months, and some of us have been testing it for a while. What does that mean for small businesses? If you're a business that uses Office 365 to work in the cloud, first of all, congratulations. It's an amazing system, and if you're using it right, your computers can just disappear one day and all your data is safe in the cloud. You can log in from anywhere and access your data. You can collaborate with people in your office and organization. You can make phone calls, whatever you need to do. It's an amazing product. And Microsoft Business Premium, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, allows you to manage your computer systems and really get ahead of needing a server. It's 2022. If you're a small business, you don't need a server in your office anymore. There's no reason to be putting a server in your office. That's just added expense that you don't need. So Microsoft 365 Business Premium solves that solution for many small businesses. And Microsoft has added Defender for Business to all small business premium licenses. Of course, it's not for free. They did increase the price of Microsoft 365 Small Business Premium or Microsoft 365 Business Premium SKUs by a couple bucks every month. And of course, they also have this whole month-to-month thing. I'm not going to get into all that because I don't care about all that. So what does Microsoft Defender for Business include? Well, in a nutshell, you can get all of your devices managed by the Microsoft ecosystem. So if you're already all in on the Microsoft ecosystem, you can manage all your devices with this system. It does have some vulnerability management components and that it can help you reduce your attack surface. It does have an EDR component, so that's an endpoint detection and response component, which basically turns the free sort of Microsoft Defender and antivirus that's built into Windows into sort of a next-gen antivirus with an endpoint detection and response capability. And just to put simply, it allows some automated response whenever some threats are detected that are behavioral. So if something appears like ransomware, an automated response can happen, and your security team can be alerted to that condition. So my recommendation here, and I know this is going to be this is going to be a little bit challenging, is test it, take a look at it, see what it can offer you, but do it with a grain of salt. There have been a few different Microsoft security product breaches in the last week or two, and I do highly recommend that you stick with third-party next-generation endpoint protection, third-party EDR solutions that are not tied to the Microsoft ecosystem. And it's just really about don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's no silver bullet in cybersecurity. This product won't solve all your problems. Don't expect it to. That being said, if you don't have anything right now, it's a lot better than nothing. So, I'm kind of mixed on my opinions here, but definitely look into it if you don't have anything else. It's included in what you're already paying for if you have the business premium license. Okay, so Microsoft Defender for Business, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more of this. It's still kind of in its infancy, but I do expect a lot of customers to use it just because it's built into what they already have. And so as a cybersecurity professional, I spend my time researching and understanding it, and understanding both how to set it up, because it's way more complicated than a lot of people I know would like it to be, and how to manage it day to day, how to respond to things, how to monitor it. There's a lot of things still involved here, because don't forget, cybersecurity isn't tools, it's people. If you don't have people managing your cybersecurity program, you're already behind. So that's Defender for Business. Really kind of the last thing, and this is a neat thing. I heard this on a podcast this morning, which so far I'm resonating with. I'm a little skeptical, but I want to research it. A CISO named, I think I'm probably going to butcher this, Sunil Yu, and that's the head of research at Jupiter One, sort of talked about this framework called DIE. And so if you're familiar with the cybersecurity industry, When we talk about data protection, we talk about the CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your data. That's sort of the point of cybersecurity as it is today. Well, this new paradigm of DIE, which stands for, I'm going to look it up just so I don't get it wrong, distributed, immutable, and ephemeral, is all about changing the way we think about data and changing the paradigm of cybersecurity from CIA triad to what they call your pets, your data, to focusing on your data like cattle. And let me give you an example. So a distributed system for authentication might be considered Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So you've got distributed, you have the I, which I've already forgot what you stood for. You've got immutable, so it can't be changed. And then you've got ephemeral, which means it's temporary in nature. So I'm just going to walk through an example. Azure Active Directory, if you have it set up with passwordless authentication, okay? When you first set it up, you get a temporary password. Well, this temporary password is ephemeral. You use it once, it goes away. Or it's there for a period of time, a very short period of time, and then it's gone. And then you set up a device mapping to your account using your phone or using a key of some kind, and it should be unchangeable. That should be immutable. Now, at the moment, if you can spoof devices and things, it's not quite there. But ideally, it would be a hard key that would be associated with your account, and once it gets destroyed, it's destroyed. Okay, use a FIDO key of some kind. Well, I don't have one with me right now. So that could be the immutable aspect of it. And then the distributed nature of it could be that it doesn't matter what you connect to on the internet. It's a service like Lambda in AWS, or that's what they use, or a service like Azure Active Directory that is basically, there's no data maintained in it, it's distributed anywhere, etc. Obviously, this example, there's a long way to go for Azure Active Directory if you're secure savvy or tech savvy and you're listening to me. It's got some aspects of it, but not all. And I think just like the CIA triad, we're going to see aspects of this DIE if this becomes a popular thing. And I think in ways it's sort of already becoming more baked into some newer solutions. It might become a thing, but there's always going to be this need to fall back on the CIA for aspects that are not fully distributed, immutable, and ephemeral. And that's just like CIA. I mean, as much as you'd like to say your data's protected, there's always some aspect that needs to be looked at and bolted in. So this is not going to be, I don't see this as a replacement by any means, but I do see it as a different way of thinking about your data and about your things. And let me give you a good example. So as a company that gives loans, and this is the example they used, if I have my loan applicants fill out an application, right now the way it works is I might collect all that information and maintain it, and then use all that information to calculate their creditworthiness and calculate what kind of assets they have, and then make a loan decision based on that. And then I may keep all of that information about this customer, who knows, right, for whoever, for how long. And that data is what gets breached whenever the cyber threat actors come in to find your information. Now, imagine it a little differently. Imagine it where I can go to a website that is just a serverless website like Lambda, fill out my information, but when I click submit, it calculates it, and the only thing that gets sent to the loan provider is some sort of a mathematical calculation to indicate my creditworthiness and asset, whatever I've got, my assets, and then my information gets erased. Like, there's no need for that insurance company or for that loan company, in this example, to maintain or even have my information for any period of time, because all they needed for is to make that decision, right? So that's an example of distributed and ephemeral. And then the immutable aspect of that still has a long way to go, because the data that I have about me is, right, it's sort of in that boat. It's not really ephemeral. I suppose it can be immutable. But anyway, this is just sort of rambling, but it's a neat paradigm. I do suggest you check it out. I listened to the episode of Malicious Life podcast by Cyber Reason, but do check it out, see what you think, and then let's engage in a conversation about it and maybe the future of data and how it works. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show and have a fantastic week.
Thanks for tuning in today. We put out new episodes twice a week, so follow our podcast, subscribe, tell your friends, like, share. If you found this information helpful, useful, or think that you know someone who might, let's get the word out to everyone so small businesses can better defend themselves from cyber threats, and we as consumers can stop worrying about who has our data and who has our information. For more info, personalized consultations, head over to our website at insula.tech, that's INSULA.tech, and look for the Contact Us link, or check the show notes for a link if you don't want to, type in insula.tech. And don't forget to protect your assets.